How's it going, everyone? Someone here from WynnStrength.com. Today's video is going to be day 3 of week 6 of the Powerbuilding 2 template by Barbell Medicine. It's going to be heavy deadlifts, some pause benches, and some lever rows. I'm really looking forward to today because we're going to start doing some heavy deadlifts, which I haven't done in quite a while. So I'm curious to see where the deadlifts are at, where my strength is currently at. Again, because this is the start of the second half of the program, we're going to be tapering into some heavy weights across the week, so it's going to be relatively light volume and relatively light intensity this week. So let's see how it goes. So the deadlift warm-up protocol I like to use is a little bit different from the other movements that I do, mainly because the first couple of sets is a different movement, as it were. I chose to do the Romanian deadlift as the warm-up variant with the empty barbell, mainly because I like to get that activation stretch in the hamstrings and the lower back. Just really take it nice and slow, or relatively slowly. That movement allows you to kind of feel if there's any tightness in the hamstrings or the back or the hips even, and that just gives you a guide as to how to approach the rest of the sets up until your working sets there. Obviously it's a little easier to do the Romanian deadlifts just because I don't have any weights on the bar, so I can go a little bit lower than a typical RDL. So I'll start off at the knees, and then as I progress through the warm-up sets, I like to go a little bit lower, not too crazy low, but trying to get that stretch and really feel the hamstrings and the lower back kind of stretch out a little bit with a tiny bit of load. And then from there we'll go into like 135-pound deadlift, and then we'll taper up from there. Again, because we're doing singles today, I do like to do the warm-ups. I do like to ramp down the volume as we do increase the weight. So rather than picking singles at 135 then 185, I'll do higher reps with the lower weight so that I can get more volume in before the heavier sets kick in and I don't fatigue myself too much. So we just got done with 225 for warm-ups. I am noticing I'm shifting the shins forward a little bit on the initiation of the deadlift, so something I need to work on during the rest of the warm-up sets. When you set up correctly with the barbell, one thing is you don't want the barbell to swing to push forward or to pull back, because that just indicates you have an incorrect setup. In my case, the last couple of months I've been trying to initiate more leg drive with the lift. What it's done is it's pushed my hips in a lower starting position, which isn't an efficient way to execute the deadlift. What's great with what I did is that I wrote weight numbers in bright white writing on the outside of the plates. So what I'm looking at is, in the replay, is if you can see those numbers move. With the high contrast, it makes it really easy. If you're training at a commercial gym, look at the logos or the weight numbers or something along those lines, because a circle object spinning is somewhat hard to tell sometimes. Look at your plate rolling forward or back during the initiation of the deadlift, and then I'll tell you if you need to address setups. What I'll need to do for moving forward is start with my hips higher while still trying to think about leg drive. So we just got done with 335 for a single. Starting to get some heavier weights. The target for today is going to be 440 based on last week's performance. Great thing with the spreadsheet, you get a calculator based on RPE, reps, and weight lifted. It gives you an estimated weight that you can use. So today is 440. We'll work up to 430, see how that feels, see what 440 feels like. If that's good, we'll move up. If it's too heavy, obviously we'll stop it there. So that's a great thing. Again, with RPE training, you're able to base that day's efforts and movements based on how you're recovering, how you're feeling, and how the body's coping with all the stresses that you're putting upon it. So we just got done with 420 for one. Feeling pretty good going up in weight. So we got the next one will be 430, see how that feels, and we're going to shoot for 440 since that is the targeted RPE 8 today. So I'll see how this goes. One tip I would recommend as well is to not jerk the bar off of the floor. Think about squeezing the bar off the floor. Which one, instead of thinking of doing, is compressing the body down into like a spring and creating a lot of tension where the bar starts to where your body is wanting to lift the weight up off the floor before you start pulling. And once you feel the bar start to bend, then you want to squeeze the bar up with as much aggression as you can. So it's a funny little nuanced way to look at the deadlift, where you don't want to, as I say, grip and rip. You want to squeeze it up aggressively. Just got done with 430 for a single. Felt pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident that I can do the 440 at one. This week we are, because it's the first week of the intensity side of this program, we're going to be dialing up volume and intensity. So we're starting off relatively conservatively so we have something to build upon in the upcoming 5 weeks. So just did 440 for one, probably got a little bit too overconfident with the weight selection. Probably closer to an RPE 8.5 rather than true 8. So that's one good thing with the RPE training, you're able to base it, you're able to assess yourself and your effort levels with a very subjective mindset. So looking back on the rep, you'll probably be able to see if it lifted up slower than usual or faster than usual. That's another way to judge RPE. And once you watch yourself a lot of times and get that those data points that you can base it off of, I know that today, right now, just felt like an RPE 8.5. When I go ahead and re-watch the footage, it might look like an RPE 8 because at the time it felt really difficult, but I don't think it went up that slowly. So we're gonna drop it down to 385 and do sets of 5 for the last set here. All right, so we just got done with 385 for 5. Again, it's weird. That was more like an 8.5 again, so didn't quite hit that 9. And didn't quite hit the 8 for the previous set. So something to work on in upcoming weeks. Get a better estimation of what weights to use in the upcoming sets there. But again, it comes with practice. So just because I didn't get the RPE rating right doesn't mean the workout is useless. It doesn't mean the movements are useless, obviously, because we're doing work and we're pushing ourselves. And it's just, RPE is just another data point for you to use. I think of it as the be all and end all. It's just another thing that we can use in the tool belt. So right now we're doing the accessory lifts. It's a 2 count pause bench press and then some lever rows. I'm actually going to be experimenting with supersetting these two just to cut down some time on the workout. Try that today, and then even in the future I'll be able to dial down this workout session at the very least, because the first week 1 and week 6, because they're the start of ramping phase, these are going to be typically the shortest workouts you'll have across the 10 weeks, with the 5th week and the 10th week I imagine being the longest. Definitely as we went along in the first 5 weeks, the 5th week was definitely the longest part of the first phase. So I can only guess that 6 through 10 is going to be longest because we're ramping up intensities as well as ramping up volume for the accessory movements. So right now we're going to try these supersets and see how it turns out for us. So we're halfway through the superset with the pause benches and the lever rows going great. Another added benefit of supersetting is, as you can see, out of breath a fair amount, so you get a little bit of cardio, a little bit of high intensity interval training thrown in there as a bonus. One thing I would recommend with the pause bench press is at the bottom of the lift, don't rest the barbell on your chest, as it were. Try and keep tension. One image is try and think that there's a piece of glass on your chest. So you barely want to touch the chest and you want to hold it in that position. What it does is you're actually increasing that time under tension for the muscle. And it's, again, just like any other pause, we're removing the stretch reflex, especially at the bottom of the bench press, and removing any, the competition style bench press is meant to remove that a little bit with that 1 count pause before you press. But this even more so when you can't do try not to do the thing where you sink it into your chest and fire it up with momentum. We really want to focus on keeping this as strict and as difficult as possible as a movement, so that we're actually attaining some benefits out of it rather than just moving the sheer amount of weight. This is one of those exercises where you want to focus on the time under tension over anything else, because that's actually what's driving the hypertrophy part of this program, is that time under tension, and that's maximal tension, and it'll help you in the long run push through any sticking points you might have, especially at the base of the bench press where a lot of people tend to stick. You kind of get here and then you struggle. Again, just another tool in the tool belt for you to use. So that wraps up the 3rd day of the 6th week of the Powerbuilding 2 template by Barbell Medicine. Really enjoying it. I actually got through today's session in an hour and 20 minutes, one of the quickest sessions yet. So that's really good with the superset. I really like the option there. Funnily enough, it turned out to be the same weights used for the same RPEs. I just miscounted the warm-up set, so I finished the lever rows before I finish up the bench press. But knowing that next time I'll probably stick with the same weights on the way up. We'll see how it progresses in the coming weeks. But I think 6th week went well. Again, shoulder issues from previous, probably from weeks 3 to 5. Not really showing itself here in the bench press, especially with the pause. Again, generally light weights for the pause reps because you can't hold that much weight in that pause position for too long. So it decreases the intensity while still increasing the difficulty and increasing the time on tension as well. Just because of the pause, it slows down the eccentric movement, especially for me. You might not. You might be able to just drop it and hold it and then fire it back up. But it generally, with the pause, it slows down the movement for me. So all that said, I think I've run out of things to say. Check out the blog, got week 5 up, generally trailing a week behind. So week 5 right up, WynnStrength.com. You'll see how the final week of volume went. I'll leave links below for the barbell medicine guys. Great resource there, a bunch of free articles, great forum, digital templates available as well. Let me know what you think of the new style. Let me know how you think about my training progress, any tips or pointers you might have. Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This has been Selwyn from WynnStrength.com, and remember, a better life through strength.